All right, we're going to look at lesson 2.1a today, which is about the greatest common factor. So our objective is that I can identify the greatest common factor of two numbers. So let's talk about factors. Factors are numbers that can multiply to make a goal number. For example, we're going to find the factors of 12. What are the numbers we can multiply by to make 12? I'm going to pull out my color-coded multiplication chart. And when I look for factors, I'm going to start by looking inside. So these on the outside of our multiplication chart, these are what we call factors. These are the numbers that make the multiples inside. So I want to know what numbers I can use out here to make 12s in here. So I'm just going to look for all the 12s I can find. There's a 12. That 12 is made up of 1 times 12. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to write 1 and 12. Those are both factors. All right, let's find more. Let's look at 2. Oh, there's a 12. We got 2 times 6 makes 12. So 2 and 6 are also factors of 12. Okay, let's look at 3. There's 12. 12 made up by 3 times 4. Cool. Notice we ran out of blanks, so that's how we know that this is the end of our factor list. But we can tell in our multiplication chart as well. We found 1 and 12 are factors, 2 and 6 are factors, and 3 and 4 are factors. Notice how 3 and 4 are right next to each other. There's no numbers in between. Once you get numbers right next to each other, you know you've arrived at the end of your factor list. Or if you get to numbers that are near each other but can't be made into another factor, you've arrived. For now, we know there's blanks. So these are all the ways we can multiply numbers to make 12. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Next, we're going to find factors of 24. So we're going to do the same thing, except instead of looking for 12, we're going to look for 24. Now, I'm going to follow my 1. Uh-oh. My multiplication chart ends at 15. I can't go past that on my chart. It doesn't go all the way to 24. Here's a hint. 1 will always be a factor of a number. Just like 1 times 12 makes 12, 1 times anything makes that number. So 1 times 24 makes that number. 1 and the number itself will always be factors. All right, let's check 2's. There's 24. So 2 times 12 makes 24. So I'm going to list 2 and 12 as factors. Let's see if 3 goes into 24. Nope. 3 times 8 makes 24. So I'll put a 3 and an 8. Let's see if 4 goes into 24. Cool. 4 times 6 makes 24. And we know we're at the end of our factor list because we've arrived at the end of our lines. We can also tell because we had 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, and 4 times 6. Now 4 and 6 aren't right next to each other, but if we count by 5s, we get to 20 and then 25, but no 24. And there's no other numbers between 4 and 6. So we know we're done with our factors. So we've made a list of all of our factors. We can also figure out if numbers are factors of other numbers. For example, if we want to know, is 3 a factor of 20? Let's find out. I want to know if we can count by 3's and land on 20, or multiply 3 by something to get 20. Here's 18, that's pretty close, so 3 times 6 makes 18. But that's not 20. Let's try 21. 3 times 7 makes 21. But notice 6 and 7 are right next to each other, but there's no 20 here. So 3 is not a factor of 20. We can't multiply 3 by anything to get 20 unless we start to use decimals or fractions, which we're not doing today. So now we know how to find factors. But this lesson is called Greatest Common Factor, so let's talk about how to do it. So, greatest common factor, you're going to hear this and see this abbreviated as GCF. Greatest common factor. Greatest common factor really just means the largest factor shared by two numbers. So for example, if we want to find the greatest common factor of 12 and 18, here's the steps we're going to follow. We're going to use the phrase greatest common factor, but we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So we're going to go kind of in the opposite order. We're going to start with factors. We're going to find the factors of both of our numbers, 12 and 18. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because we already found the factors of 12. So if we come up here, I'm just going to copy these. So we have 1, 12, 2, 6, 3, and 4 are all factors of 12. Now I'm going to find the factors of 18. We haven't done that yet, so I'm going to get my multiplication chart out. I know that 1 is going to be a factor, so I'm going to fill that in. 1 times 18, every time. 1 and the number are factors. Let's see. 2, does 2 go into 18? It does. 2 times 9. So we'll put a 2 and a 9. Let's see if 3 goes into 18. It does. 3 times 6 makes 18. And look at that. We've arrived at the end of our factor list. So we found our factors. Next, we've got to find the ones in common. I'm looking for things that are both in the 12 list and the 18 list. And I'm just going to circle them. 1 is in both lists. 2 is in both lists. 3 is in both lists. And 6 is in both lists. I don't see a 12 or a 4 in the 18 list, and I don't see an 18 and a 9 or a 9 in the 12 list. So those are all of our common ones. We circled them. So we found our factors, circled our common, and then we're going to pick our greatest one. Out of the numbers we circled, what's the biggest? 6. 6 is the biggest, so 6 is our greatest common factor. It's the biggest number we can multiply to make both 12 and 18. All right, move on to the learn and do and practice, and let me know if you have any questions.